The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Dylan Mangan and I'm joined today by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. Our guest on the show this week is James O'Donovan. The Bandon bowler has had a brilliant few weeks, first winning gold in the Moors competition at the European Bowling Championships in Germany, for secondly making his Netflix debut in Bodkin. So he's had a great few weeks and we're talking to him on the show today. So that's one to look forward to today. But Kieran, before we get to James, it was some weekend to be a Cork fan. 4 big games and 3 out of 4 wins, so not a bad result overall. In camogie, Cork are Munster champions after a well-earned win over Waterford. Cork hurlers put in an immense display in Thurles to beat Tip. Then the men's senior footballers got over the line against Clare for a good start in the All-Ireland series. And the only black spot really was in Mallow on Saturday, as both the senior women's footballers and the B team lost out in their Munster finals. But overall, Kieran, a good weekend for Cork GAA. And I guess we'll start with that win for Cork in the Munster final against Waterford. It was a tough game for them after the last game they played against Waterford was a bit of a rout. We were expecting a closer game this time around. And it was an impressive win for Cork nonetheless.
So yeah, Cork are back on top in Munster, beat Waterford 116-14 in Thurles on Sunday. So Cork are camogie champions of Munster once again. So the top team in their own backyard. And it's just the right time in too, Dylan, because the All-Ireland series is kicking into action this weekend. Cork are playing Wexford in Páirc Uí Rinn on Saturday. So at least they can go into that game now with a bit of momentum and the confidence of winning that Munster title again. If we rewind back to last year, it was Cork were defeated. I think it was a quarterfinal or semi-final in the Munster Championship, and Cork bounced back to hammer Waterford in the All-Ireland final later in the year. But still, I think it's important for Cork just to get silverware under there, or add silverware to their trophy cabinet before we hit the All-Ireland series. And it was a pretty good display from Cork. Laura Hayes was the player of the match. She was outstanding all through. You're looking to then at the likes of Amy O'Connor, who scored 1-6, which was super to see. Katrina Macking, throw the Finn, got 2 points apiece. And there was other kind of notable features of the game too. Ciara O'Sullivan from Newcestown, she missed all of last year's campaign, Dylan, with an ACL injury. She came on there in the second half on Sunday, so it's great to see Ciara back on that stage. She had made her comeback from injury earlier in the year with a big piece with her in the Star, and she played with the intermediates during the league. But it was good to see her back in with the senior squad as well. So that's good for Cork, that their squad is swelling and that there's strength and depth there as we go into the competition. That really matters, if we're being quite honest. And that's also what Fiona Keating was telling us afterwards yesterday. She said it's the All-Ireland Championship is our main focus. And that's not to belittle Munster, because, like I said, Cork obviously want to be the top team in Munster. But it's the O'Duffy Cup that Cork want to retain. And it's this campaign now that's coming up that Cork will be judged on as well.
Yeah, momentum is never a bad thing to build. And one player who was missing in that game for Cork was Libby Coppinger. Obviously, we heard last week about her injury. She was missing as well from the Senior Ladies A football final that was in Mallow. Cork lost out there 2-15-13 points, and she was probably missed. Cork were going strong, but 2 goals from Kerry coming just before half-time, and then again 10 minutes from the end were a real killer for Cork there.
Yeah, like if we're being quite honest here, Kerry were the favourites heading into this big game on Saturday over in Mallow, and Kerry really needed to win a final as well. They've lost the last couple of All-Ireland finals. They lost the league final earlier in the year. They actually lost the Munster final to Cork as well. And this Kerry team is in a better place right now compared to where Cork are. Kerry got to the Division 1 league final. Cork were relegated after losing 6 games in a row. In the round robin phase here in Munster, Kerry won all 3 games. Cork won 2 out of the 3. That last coming against Kerry down in Brosnan a couple of weeks ago. So all the signs pointed towards a Kerry win. And okay, that's what transpired in the second half. But we have to remember that this is very much a new look Cork team. I'm going to use that words that team managers hate, transition. It really is a Cork team in transition. They've lost so many players. The Ciara O'Sullivan, Darren O'Sullivan, Roisin Field and Emer Meany. So many players that they've lost from last year's squad. I think they're down 6 of the starting team from the All-Ireland semi-final against Dublin. So that's you're coming close to half a team there that the Cork are missing. But if you look at the first half in Mallow on Saturday, Cork, I think they were 9-3 up at one point. They kind of rattled off 9 points in a row. So it does show that there is potential in this team to go and do something. It's very early in their journey, very early in their development, but they will take positives from that first half. They'll take negatives from the second half where they kicked only 3 points and that was never going to be enough. So Cork know that they have a lot of work to do to kind of bridge the gap to the top teams. But I think they'll take confidence from this Munster campaign because they got back winning games a bit again. They beat Waterford away. They beat Tipperary. They got the Munster final. And we're now heading into the All-Ireland series where, touch wood, Cork should get out of their 3-team group, get into the quarterfinals, and who knows what will happen from there. So, okay, disappointing to relinquish their Munster title, but considering where this Cork team is right now, and we need to be very honest about that, it wasn't a surprise that Cork lost, and we just have to hope that they can keep just moving forward and kind of just build a bit of momentum as the season continues.
Yeah, Cork also lost in the B final to Limerick. There was 110 to 7 points there. So a bit of a disappointing weekend all around for ladies footballers, but I'm sure they'll be back with a bang shortly as the team grows as well. But elsewhere at the weekend, there were 2 great results really for Cork. First up on Saturday evening, Cork beat Clare by 113 to 111 in their men's senior football championship in the All-Ireland opener in Cusack Park. And Kieran, it was a tense game. Both teams going into this knew that a victory would set them up perfectly ahead of the other 2 difficult opponents in the group. But Sean Powter's goal proving the difference in the end. And it's a great start for Cork.
Yeah, just to start that Cork wanted. John Cleary was telling the media in the lead up to the game last week that the result of this game almost kind of defines the narrative of what the season will be, i.e. both Cork and Clare knew that this is the game that they had to win, considering the other teams in the group are Donegal and Tyrone. And by now we know how this championship works out. Like there's four groups of 4 teams, and 3 of those 4 teams advance to the knockout stage. The number 1 team goes through to the quarterfinals. The team 2nd and 3rd go through to the preliminary quarterfinals. So realistically, if you get 1 win under your belt, that's almost enough, even at this early stage, to see you through to the preliminary quarterfinals. Okay, like results might not go Cork's way the next couple of games against Donegal and Tyrone, but they'll have that Clare win in the bank. And if Clare lose to both Tyrone and Donegal, that's Cork already sure to get through to the knockout stage. So in this first game, the result was paramount, and Cork got the result. And they'll be delighted coming down the road from Innis on Saturday night with those 2 points on the board, because we're going to have to rewind to last year, Dylan, when Cork went up to Clare in the Munster Senior Football Championship quarter-final, and they actually lost by a point up there. So to come out the right side of a tight game on this occasion, it's just what this Cork team needed. And if the performance wasn't there, especially in the second half, the result was. And maybe now with that result, and like I said, those points on the board, it could ease the pressure a small bit now going into the next game against Donegal on the Saturday of the bank holiday weekend up in Páirc Uí Rinn. And it might allow the Cork footballers to play with a little bit more freedom. They look back on Saturday, first half quite good. They'd won 6 to 4 points. All scores, all Clare scores came from place balls. So they didn't score from playing that first half. Cork had won 6 on the board. Sean Powter got that very clever goal midway through the half. That put Cork 1-4 to 1 point up at the time. But then as the second half went on, Cork, and it's like their Achilles heel over the last while, just missed chances. Like, kind of you'd love to see this Cork team put aside to the sword and just kind of really punish a team, but it's just not there for some reason. We saw a couple of frees went wide. We saw Brian O'Driscoll palm an effort off the crossbar. There was one or two more kind of chances that Cork didn't take. Then all of a sudden, when Clare landed a 45 midway through the half, the scores were level 1-8 apiece. But credit Cork, showed a bit of character, showed a bit of resilience, dug the way out, got the 2 points on the board. And I think for the first round of this series, that's all that matters, to get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Just some stats here, courtesy as always of Gaelic Statsman on Twitter. Cork scored 14 of their 27 shots, so it's a 51% conversion rate. Against Donegal and Tyrone, that'll need to come up quite a bit, won't it?
It will, because you're obviously playing far better teams. Like, with the greatest respect to Clare, they're a Division 3 team. That's the league. That's the division that they operate in. Okay, Clare put it up to Kerry in the Munster final a couple of weeks ago, but Kerry still put up 23 points in them. And I'm not saying this is a vintage Kerry team either. This is a Kerry team that's flattered to deceive and that hasn't really convinced either. So, knowing what's coming down the road, Cork will need to be better. They really will. The Donegal game will be tough. Okay, Donegal are coming down here, but this is a Jim McGuinness trained team. Like, they're going to be ready for what Cork throw them in Parky Ring. So that's why having these 2 points on the board are just it's invaluable really for Cork to get through to the knockout stages. And what we want to see from this Cork team is progression and development. We haven't really seen it so far. We didn't really see through the league. Very bad start. Okay, came back a bit of momentum as the league progressed. Lost to Kerry and Clare in a game where Cork were quite good in that first half. So it's those words again with Cork football. We want to see a bit of consistency, not alone consistency in results, but consistency in the games themselves. And we just, like, if you look at the first half, the last day against Clare, it was kind of similar to the first half against Kerry, where Cork were played quite well in patches. Then in the second half, you could say the opposition were the better teams. The only difference on Saturday night is that Cork dug in and got the result, and that's thanks to the likes of Sherlock and Mark Cronin coming off the bench, who picked off a couple of huge points. So Cork will need to be better against Donegal, and the hope is that, like I said earlier, Dylan, they will be, because they have just 2 points on the board to fall back on.
Yeah, and finally on this, obviously Donegal and Tyrone are yet to play. They're playing on the 25th, so this weekend. Donegal will be favourites there, but there is a world where Tyrone can give Donegal a bloody nose. They could win, they could draw, and Donegal, and suddenly you mentioned having points on the board being important. Like, Cork could be in a position where Donegal are coming and need to win against Cork, which could almost play into their hands then as well. So the fact they have the 2 points is completely vital, as you say.
Exactly. We only have to go back to last year when Cork beat Louth away in their opening game, and it was that result that ultimately got Cork through to the knockout stage. Okay, beat Mayo in the last round too, but having points on the board early on, and the fact that 3 out of the 4 teams go through, like, kind of getting that one win is vital. And with the greatest respect to Clare, I would expect both Tyrone and Donegal to beat them. Okay, shocks can happen. Who knows what will happen when we get to the last round? Let's say Donegal beat Tyrone this weekend and Donegal beat Cork, then all of a sudden Donegal are obviously sure to go through maybe that last round in, that Clare could out of nowhere kind of pull out the result. Who knows? But I would think having those early points on the board will really stand to Cork now and just set them up for what's to come. But what I do want to see is improvement over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we will see that, because Cork want to go further than they did last year, and that was a All-Ireland quarter-final defeat against Derry. But if Cork want to get to that level again, or get to that stage, they just need to up their game.
Yeah, Cork face Donegal in a couple of weeks' time in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. That's on the June bank holiday, so one to look forward to there. Rounding out the weekend in Cork GAA, Kieran, was a incredible victory, a brilliant victory for the hurlers against Tipperary, and it was an amazing spectacle as well, with the kind of sheer amount of Cork fans that were up in Thurles for that game. Cork winning 430 to 121. And it's incredible to see the momentum that can build so quickly around this Cork team when they do put the performances in.
You can imagine the GAA chiefs up in the corridors of power in Croke Park and rubbing their hands in glee when they see the Cork hurlers going wild, because it just adds so much to the hurling championship. It's the noise, the colour, the fans. It's brilliant to see. We saw the pitch invasion after the win against Limerick in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, the weekend before, and we saw the Cork fans on the pitch as well on Sunday in Thurles after hammering Tipperary, and I mean hammering, like that's an 18-point beating, 4-20 to 121, and Cork outscored Tipperary 315 to 9 points in the second half. Like that was some shown by the Cork hurlers, and it puts Cork right in the hunt to qualify for the knockout stages of the All-Ireland. Not there yet. That's the one caveat. There is a world where the Waterford and Limerick hurlers draw this weekend, and it knocks Cork out. But surely be the God that God it has to be Cork fan at some point, and we're not going to see a result where a team that's beaten Limerick and now hammered Tipperary gets knocked out of the championship. But what we have seen is the potential of this Cork team, and that you mentioned about giving a team a bloody nose. Like this Cork team has the potential to knock a big one out as the championship goes on. And I'd again put on my Mystic Meg cap, and probably to upset Davy Fitzgerald fans, but I would expect Limerick to get the better of Waterford this weekend, and I would expect to see Cork through to the knockout stage, and that'll be super, because what we'll then see is no team will want to face Cork then, because there's a bit of momentum building here, and you're getting the belief of the fans. I actually met someone here at lunch in Skibbereen earlier today, and they were saying that there was 11 or 12 buses from West Cork made the trip up to Thurles on Sunday. And like I kind of quipped back to him, is okay, how many buses went to Innis on Saturday night? But it's almost just to show that when Cork hurling goes well, that everyone kind of gets behind it, and there's a real movement to it. And you can see that there's something starting to build, whether it's this year or whether it's next year, who knows. But the last two games have kind of shown, okay, Cork hurling is in a better position than we thought after those first two defeats to Waterford and Clare. So I think Pat Ryan will be quite a content man this week, while also kind of nervously watching what's going to happen at the Gaelic grounds this weekend. But I have a feeling we will see Cork go through, and then who knows? Strap up. Anything could happen.
We're obviously slightly biased here, but like you say, the All-Ireland is a better place when Cork are in it. So hopefully that will happen this year, and we'll all have a great summer going forward. But Ciara, we need to move on now because we've got so much to cover. There's also a lot of action at the weekend in the West Cork League. The title race for that is going down to the wire. I think both Drina and Clon won at the weekend again. So both teams, it's a little bit Man City Arsenal at the moment.
Well, it's actually better than Man City Arsenal, because there was an inevitability to what was going to happen in the Premier League. Like, City are the most boring winning machine of all time. They're just going to win, and they're going to win, and they're going to win. You saw it on Sunday, kind of 2 goals in the opening, however long, and they had the title in the bag. There was no jeopardy to it, but there is jeopardy to the West Cork League Premier Division title race. So this is the one to watch. Forget your Man Cities and Arsenals. It's all about Clan Soccer Club and Drina Rangers. So just to give context, Clonakilty Soccer Club are top of the league on 46 points after 17 games played. They have 1 game left. That 1 game is against Drina Rangers, the reigning champions, who are trying to chase down Clan. Drina have 35 points after 14 games. So they have 3 games in hand on Clonakilty, and they're currently 11 points behind. Win those 3 games, they're only 2 points behind. So it just goes to show that this upcoming Clonakilty Drina Rangers game, it has the potential to be a huge title decider, and it's shaping up like that because on this weekend coming up, Drina Rangers are taking on Dunmanway Town. You'd fancy Drina to win there, and it's the following weekend, Dylan, that we're expecting to see Drina Rangers travel to Clonakilty Soccer Club for that huge game. So it's like I said, that is the title decider. That really is.
It's a must win. If Drina don't win, they're
exactly. If Drina don't win it, it's all over. And Drina have games against Mizenhabe and Skibbereen to play as well. Like, but this is a Skibbereen team that's been relegated, and it's a Mizenhabe team that has only 1 game left as well, and they'll be waiting weeks to play this game. So it's all going to come down. Once Drina beat the Dunmanway Town, okay, the Dunmanway Town listeners might be kind of saying, no, hold your horses, that there's a twist in this title race, and it might come this Sunday. The Dunmanway Town might end Drina's title hopes. Otherwise, we're looking at a bank holiday blockbuster in Clonakilty. These 2 teams met in the Beamish Cup final a couple of weeks ago, and Clonakilty beat Drina in that. Now we could have them potentially meeting in a title decider on the weekend after this. So it really is one to watch. So just keep up to date with the Southern Star Sports section for that. But it's going to a really exciting climax, and it's been really exciting to watch the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're licking our lips at the prospect of that bank holiday game, like you say there. Now, Kieran, it's time to hear from our guest on this week's podcast. It's James O'Donovan. As I said at the top of the show, he's had a brilliant couple of weeks, winning gold in the Moors competition at the European Bowling Championships in Germany, and he's also a small screen star on Netflix, making his debut there in Bodkin. So you caught up with him to chat about obviously his win in Germany, but also about Bodkin as well.
Is it the first time that we have like a Netflix star on the podcast? Like James O'Donovan, he's like, not only has he conquered the roads, now he's conquered Moors bowling, but I was looking last week on Netflix and Bodkin was trending #1 in terms of Irish shows. So obviously that's the James O'Donovan effect. Like he's the man. He's like the man at the Midas touch. Whatever he touches right now turns to gold. So yeah, so he brought home gold as well from the recent European Championships. He won in the Dutch Moors discipline. And James will explain quite soon what exactly that is. It's not that familiar road bowling that we're so used to here in West Cork. It's a different bowling discipline. It's on a grass and in a grass field on a grass circuit. And James, like I said, James will explain that to us. But to win that gold in Germany was huge, because it was by and large, you could say, a disappointing European Championships for the Irish bowlers, especially on the road. Like we'd Hannah Sexton on the podcast a few weeks ago, and like she was telling us how the Irish bowlers were targeting do well on the road because it's the Irish sport, it's the Irish game. But unfortunately, there was disappointment for the Irish bowlers out in Germany. But what we did have James O'Donovan winning the Dutch Moors gold. But at youths level, from Ballyvourney, with Liam Murphy bringing home gold on the road there. So that was two highlights. So good to catch up with James. Very well known out in Bandon. Played GAA there for years and years and years. And he's fierce tradition of road bowling in his family, stretching back generations. So obviously we talk about road bowling, but we got to talk about Bodkin, because anyone who's seen it will have seen or should have seen the road bowling scene that was there, and it was James O'Donovan in that road bowling scene. So we had a lot to talk about when we caught up recently. We're joined on the podcast this week by European Moors gold medal winner James O'Donovan from Bandon. James, I was expecting you to be wearing the medal around your neck, so tell us where your prized possession is right now.
He's at home, hanging up somewhere. I'm not 100% sure it's somewhere that's at home anyway, but we'll keep it at home too for the time being. Do you know what I mean?
Huge congratulations winning gold over in Germany. So before we talk about the gold, explain to us what Moors bowling is. We're so used to road bowling here in West Cork, but what is Moors bowling?
Yeah, sure. So like it's a Dutch sport. It's Dutch Moors essentially. So what you have is it's a starting line, and you have tin shot. It's a timber bowl filled with lead. More or less the exact same size as a normal bowl that we have here, small and bigger. But it's in a course, a field, it's all grass, and again tin shots, and it's the person that goes the furthest in the tin shots wins it. That it's as simple as that basically. There isn't much more to it. Courses are all varied. Like we were in Holland in 2016, and that's probably one of the best courses, obviously, because it's in their home country. They keep it immaculate. It's like a golf course, really. The grass is pristine, and that was, I think the world record was set there 2016. I think it was 1,700 odd meters. So yeah, they have the best courses, and I suppose look, in Ireland, I think in 2008 it was on Racool, an airstrip above there, and in this year in 2024 it was in Germany. It was on the back kind of flood defence. So you need obviously something like an airfield or something like that to cater for the distance that you're going to be going, which is over a kilometre, in a straight run grass.
What's the big difference? So obviously road bowling is on the road, Dutch Moors is on the grass, but for you, like you're so obviously used to bowling on the road here. What's the big difference when you're throwing the ball on grass?
I suppose it's probably technique is that let's say you need to have every shot kind of head height, like you need to be delivering the shot every shot about head height. If you drop them too close, they won't, they'll dig into the ground, and if you loft them too high, they'll dig as well. What you need to have them is that they need to be skimming it around chest or head height, so they need to skim off the grass as best they can, and I suppose, look, given the competition that you're in, you need to get every single one of them like that. You need to deliver every one of them like that. Difference in the road, obviously, there's corners and there's tracks and there's that and the other thing, like obviously a lot trickier in that sense that you kind of every shot is different, whereas this is just literally technique. You need to get the technique right for it every time,
Taking back to the Friday evening over in Germany, and Pat McCarthy's report in the Star this week, he was saying 15 centimetres was the winning margin, probably the tightest in European Bowling Championship history. It sounds dramatic. Did it feel as dramatic in Tinsover?
I did, yeah. I suppose I knew that I was in a good position because obviously I was 9th out on the day, so there's 10 in total. There's 10 different groups, so there's 5 in each group, so there's 50 men competing in total. So I was in the 9th group, and I knew what was leading it at that stage, and obviously I knew I was in a very, very good position. So when I did win my group in, I was kind of hearing whisperings in the background about what was coming behind me, and I knew I was in a good position at that time, but I kind of felt that Robert Shoughton and Huyken were coming on strong behind me as well, and I saying, could be knocked back to third here or second or third or something. But when it did come down to the last shot of so the German lad Huyken, he threw, and I immediately paced out what he had because I knew I was 106.8.15 or 5 is what I thought at the time, but when I paced it out as 8 meters. I said, this is very, very tight. Mm-hmm. So then the Dutch fella threw, and so he was in a very, very good position, but probably came the wrong clay. He kind of came up an area where there was longer grass, and he came up short tips. And there was a bit of a celebration at that stage, but I was like, no, hold on a second here, guys, because this is too tight to call. So they took a long time to measure it in. They took probably in the bones of a quarter of an hour to get the result in. Measured in, came down to 6 inches after going, as I say, 1,068 meters. To have it come down to 6 inches was pretty phenomenal. But as I say, that was as they were saying that probably the tightest score in the history of the game,
What's that feeling like to know that you've won a European gold medal?
Actually, look, I suppose it's a bit surreal at the time, I suppose it still is a small bit surreal, to be fair. Probably still hasn't sunk in. It was great, just the reaction of the home of our Irish team and all that kind of crack, and everyone was just elated that that we won something. You know what I mean? So no, fantastic. And sure, when you come back to Ireland, sure, look, since I came back, I kind of haven't been back to Bandon much. Only with the homecoming there the night. All right, it was fantastic, but maybe the weekend now it'll probably sink in a bit more when you start talking to a bit more people and things like that around the area.
You seem to have a kind of a liking to Dutch moors. You won a silver medal before, did you, a couple of years back as well?
Yeah, as I was saying, that was in Holland in 2016. Again, it was very, very similar to what happened this time round. I had the world record broken. I was in 4th place, and Robert Shoughton, who came 3rd this year now, was coming on strong behind me, and I was like, geez, this one is going to beat me. And he did. He beat me by 50 meters that time. But I got silver that time. The last time round in Germany, which was 2 years ago, I came 11th to 12th or something. So I think it's just the technique that I have in throwing the bowl at home, is just because it's not something we practice. It's not I'll probably go it's on in Ireland now again in 4 years' time, and I probably won't catch more bowl again between here and then, you know what I mean? So it's not something we've been practicing. It's just my style and my technique probably suits Moore's bowling, do you know what I mean? So
you mentioned here at home too, you come from a family with a really proud tradition in row bowling. Your grandfather, your father, it stretches back generations. Is that where your love of the sport came from? It was just handed down from one generation to the next.
Yeah, for sure. So like, and I have it from my mother's side as well, and the Desmonds as well. So my uncles on that side as well would have been steeped in bowling as well. So I'm looking at bowling since I'm from day dot and been involved in it. I suppose like that is bred into me. So yeah, that's where it kind of came from exactly. It's kind of I'm gonna have to do it.
But what is it about the sport that you love so much?
Sport in general.
Or it's the sport of road bowling. Sorry, the sport of road bowling that you love.
The sport of road bowling. I suppose it's just it's the thrill of throwing a long shot or winning a score or something like that. It's hard to match it. Look, I played a lot of GAA and everything like that, and got a lot of great days in that as well. And there's nothing will beat winning a last shot score or something like that. You know what I mean? It's because I suppose obviously it's a single sport and it's all on you. Like no, flip it around the other way. There's nothing worse than losing a last shot score then as well. So the highs and lows are massive in it. And I suppose that's what kind of drives you. And that's what I love about the sport. And I suppose the social aspect of it as well. You're out there on a row and you're chatting to everyone, and it's great social outing as well.
And obviously, you've won a lot over the years. Where does this European gold rank for you? Does it go right to the top of the charts?
It would be, yeah. I suppose, no, it would be up there anyway. It'd be up there. It's look, as we had a lot of success in the hurling football, and look, I've had success as well in the road bowling as well. But no, definitely would be up there, right? Yeah, be up there with the double in 2016, for instance. That would be up there with that as well,
Looking towards the summer ahead, what is your hope and target? Let's look at the senior championship. What do you like? It's stacked. Like if you look at the senior men's championship every year, like kind of it's the who's who of road bowling.
I suppose look, bowling is a funny game. Like it's all in the day. It's completely all in the day. There's no like you often hear of favourites and all this kind of crap. There's no favourites in this game, really, in my opinion. Like it's if you're senior, and that's it. You know what I mean? Anyone could beat you in the day, or you could be a complete outside ranker and come along and blow another fella off the course. That's the game. There'll be a lot of punters there make you a favourite because I'll be in the first round of the championship now. I'll probably be a favourite because off the back winning this, but I'm up against a good player in Pat Flood as well, and it's going to be tough. I don't take anything into that. I suppose it's a single score. You control the controllables. The only thing you can control is yourself. I can't do anything about what Pat Flood does or any other player for that matter. You can only control what you can do, and if you can deliver performance on the day, that's all you need to do, and let the result take care of itself after that.
Not only are you making headlines in the Southern Star on the front page this week, you're bound for Hollywood. I was telling you before we started recording, James, that you're in the new Netflix kind of hit series Bodkin. So fill us in on that. There's a road bowling scene in that, and that you're in it. But just fill us in the background to that. How did that all come about?
Sure, but I think how it came about was old coming. Okay, right. I was going to be set around West Cork, and I suppose they came across road bowling, and old coming did a draw out of a hat, and my name came out, and they asked me would I go up, and sure, I kind of wasn't sure what the whole setup would be, but we thought we were up there for probably a week. At Crossroads for about 3 or 4 days, hanging around. It was a long old slog, all right, but look, it's fine. And look, as I say, it's good for the sport itself. It's getting an international stage there now where it can get people talking about it. What is this sport? You know what I mean? A lot of people obviously in the world would know what road bowling is. So I suppose look, it is getting a bit of traction locally, and there's a few fellas there now. Well, in New Zealand there, he texted me the other day saying, "Mayor, what are you doing here on Netflix? Just watching this thing back, and so look, the sport is getting a bit of a kickback from that,
Okay.
And West Cork itself, I suppose, and that Newland Halls and all that kind of fact. So look, it is good,
it's all positive. Like you said, it's introducing road bowling. It's kind of to a whole new audience, and hopefully that help grow the sport again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I suppose from my view anyway, COVID really brought on road bowling locally. I suppose during COVID, a lot of people found themselves at home, nothing to do. I suppose bowling really got a kick out of COVID. Really, there's let's say take for instance here my own, let's say the region here in Mid Cork. I think the last couple of years in the novice D championship, there's been over 70 people. I'd say prior to that, you're talking maybe 30 I would have come into it. There's been a whole host of people that have taken it on since COVID, which has been great for the sport as well,
And that's why kind of to see the like yourself winning a gold medal at European Championships, and you're up against the best from Italy, Germany, and the Netherlands. Like that's great for the sport as well, because the Europeans, like this is your 5th time competing at the European Championships. Like that's the pinnacle for all road bowlers. That's where you want to be, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it is. And I suppose, look, obviously you've got a couple of key competitions here in Ireland. Obviously, you've got the championship, and you've got the King of the Roads. And there's a couple of good tournaments that are run throughout the year as well. So, but I suppose, yeah, obviously the European Championships is something that everyone would like to have in their locker home, So it is nice to have one now, So and look, as you say, I mentioned there 5 times now. Competition is definitely getting stronger. The German lads, the way their approach is, even the Italians, they're coming on they're coming on massively, So, and I suppose coupled with the fact that we're getting older then as well, every year they're harder. And you mentioned, like, I know you mentioned there earlier on, we didn't do well on the road this year, which we didn't, but I suppose the disadvantage we have in that is that, these Dutch lads and these German fellas, they have that road practiced numerous times, I suppose we're only afforded the opportunity an hour on Thursday to go have a look at the trophy chats. That's it, what the way to handle it. I suppose that's no way an excuse either. That's just the facts of the matter. I suppose this year, 4 years time, it'll be held in Ireland, and I think it happened in 2004 was the Irish men's team got badly done as well on the road. Fast forward 8 years, 4 years time, 2008, that changed because we were at home able to practice the road, and I was going to practice. So, we'd be hoping 4 years time that we turn the tables in that again.
You've actually preempted my final question. It was just on that. We'd had Sexton on the podcast before the Europeans, and she was talking about how she was hoping to go well on the road because she goes, it's an Irish sport. We've developed it. We've perfected it. And then to see what happened to the senior men's team over in Germany. So you'll be hoping in 4 years' time on a home road that we'll see a bit of a response to what happened last week.
Oh, I definitely the roads over there, I suppose they're glass smooth. They've got cambers on them whereby the fall is off to one side, and I suppose you have to know where you need to stand, where you need to play, all these things, and that comes by practicing the road. You can't just go have a look at it and kind of hope this will go right, and hope, and by chance it would, but I suppose taking the roads that are around here, they're much different, and we'll have those roads practiced, and hopefully we be able to turn the tables on that.
Fantastic. And you'll be heading into those Europeans as a European champion. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast, James, and congrats again on the success.
No problem at all. Thanks very much.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. And Kieran, it's early in the week, it's Monday, but we already know that this week's Southern Star will be packed. There's plenty of sport to fit into those pages. So what can readers look forward to this Thursday?
Again, a bit of everything. Of course, all the inter-county action from the weekend is covered. So, and with huge games coming up this weekend as well. Like I said, the Cork camogie team are out in action. And also you have to get the start to read John Hayes' thought on Cork v Clare in the football championship last weekend. John Hayes always worth a read. And we also have a local rider in the Ross Talton, which is kicking off on Wednesday. So that's a huge international 5-day stage race. And from a Kilty, we've Liam Crowley, who's been picked on the Irish team for the Ross. So I've caught up with Liam for a chat, and he's a really interesting story, and it's another local sporting success story that we haven't heard too much about, Dylan, because he's ranked second in Ireland this year on form. He's had 2 super wins in various races. So he's son of Billy Crowley, who was part of the Clonakilty team that won the 1996 Cork senior football title. So that's a good one, and it's worth checking out. Also, the Junior B Hurling Championship was on the weekend. Gabriel Rangers are involved in an absolute cracker, reporting that. And the Skip Hurlers put up 4.28 in their win. So we have a match report and reaction from there as well. Also looking forward to the final round of group games in the Junior B County Championship that is on this weekend. Bringing it back to soccer, in the West Cork Schoolboys and Schoolgirls League, there was a load of action there. We have that covered in full. I also have quite an interesting Cork GAA story that I'm not going to say too much about, but just to tease our listeners, it's worth checking out Thursday Southern Star for a story that we put together on Cork GAA. So yeah, there's plenty going on there.
Yeah, all that will be available in shops across West Cork from Thursday morning. And as always, if you're further afield or you can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star and get our e-paper on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just head to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. We also have a free 7-day trial at the moment for anyone who wants to sign up for our annual option, so you can test it out before you make the commitment. In this week's Southern Star as well, just quickly, for anyone who remembers, as we all will, the 1992-93 All-Ireland O'Donovan Rasa winning team, we have a podcast this week with the former physio of that team. He's Ozzy Schmidt, very well known around West Cork. He's talking to us about his love of sea swimming. And we also have a free 20-page motoring supplement in this week's Southern Star. So it is really packed as always. And as always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast. And thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening.